Good evening, you're just in time for NTV Weekend Edition. We hope you had a great Sunday, so did we. And for the very first time, introducing Zeynab Ismail.
Thank you so much, Trevor. Indeed, it is good to be here. We have the latest news from within and beyond, including an NTV special, Old in the City. But first, our top stories.
Tonight on NTV.
I've lost very many friends, Bishop.
President Kenyatta says he's losing friends, but the bulldozers will not stop.
We must reach to a stage in our country where it is not who you know, that you know the president, that you know the minister.
Also tonight, NLC Chair Mohamed Swazuri and 6 others are spending the second night in custody as former Nairobi County Chief Finance Officer Jimmy Kiamba turns himself in.
So they must be able to show either the remoteness in connection of that offense or showing that our client has actually benefited in one way or the other.
EACC is still hunting for 4 others as graft purge gathers momentum.
Also tonight, 5 people including 3 children perish in 2 separate fire incidents in Nakuru.
And the story of an aging community forgotten in the city.
Sasa kama ningeolewa ningeenda kwa bwana. Kwa hiyo unaenda kufanya nini? Na kuna vijana.
NTV special Old in the City airs tonight.
NTV Weekend Edition with Trevor Ombija and Zeynab Ismail.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is David Agondo.
Now, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has ordered an investigation into bribery accusations against members of parliament that gained momentum after the contraband sugar report was rejected.
Well, the Speaker has directed the clerk of the National Assembly to read MPs quoted in the media speaking of corruption among colleagues to share their testimonies or information they may have about the issue with the Powers and Privileges Committee.
The committee will invite relevant investigating bodies should it deem it necessary from evidence adduced.
NTV's Charity Mwangi has more.
Mr. Speaker, this is very, very unfortunate.
With the contraband sugar report having been rejected by the National Assembly last week, allegations of bribery cropped up. Bribery in the August House, no less, with MPs among those who openly spoke about it. The storm has only gathered momentum since.
Wale wabunge wamegawana pesa. Wale wabunge wamegawiwa pesa kuvunja ripoti ya kamati ambayo imetambua nani alileta sukari chafu. Wale lazima waadhibiwe.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, in a statement sent to newsrooms, said he had instructed the National Assembly clerk to write to the members quoted in the mainstream media and other fora making allegations of corruption in Parliament. They are to take their testimonies to the Powers and Privileges Committee, which will conduct an inquiry on the same. The Speaker says the committee will, upon evaluating the testimonies tendered, consider whether there was breach of privilege by way of unethical conduct on the part of specific members and decide whether to invite competent investigating agencies, particularly the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, as provided for in the Leadership and Integrity Act. ODM leader Raila Odinga says members of the public feel betrayed by the National Assembly members. He says Parliament has become the weakest link in the ongoing war against corruption, especially owing to the reports of money changing hands for adoption or rejection of reports. Raila describes it as a major shame to the nation, which deserves urgent and thorough investigation by a multi-agency team from the EACC, DPP and DCI. Leaders have hailed the Director of Public Prosecutions for his sustained war against graft, inviting him to start digging into claims of corruption in the National Assembly.
Shika waizi wote Kenya. Shika wote. Kama ni Swazuri, weka ndani. Enda Kenya pipeline, weka ndani. Hata wabunge walikula rushwa jana, shika wao.
The bribery claims by MPs against their own have served to open a window into possible investigation into widespread allegation of corruption in the August House, which has often escaped scrutiny by hiding under the umbrella of privilege. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
And still matters graft. The good book says there shall be no rest for the wicked, and President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga say they shall find no hiding place with them either.
That's absolutely right. And as National Lands Commission Chairperson Mohamed Swezuri and Kenya Railways MD Atanas Maina prepare for their day in court, President Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga reiterated their unwavering support for the steps taken so far in the war on graft.
Efforts which include the demolition of monuments of impunity and the very literal form of high-rise buildings built on grabbed public land, all of which they say has been undertaken with their blessing and will be moving full steam ahead.
The Sabbath, a day of reflection, a day on which one searches their soul and takes stock. And it's just this that President Uhuru Kenyatta sought to do when he reflected on the events of the last few weeks. More so, the demolition of the South End Mall on Langata Road and the UK Mall in Westlands.
Over the last few weeks, I've lost very many friends, Bishop. Because I've been receiving so many calls that, you know, how can you just sit there and watch all this destruction going on? You must stop it. And I said, well, it's difficult to stop. It's difficult to stop not because we love to destroy, but because we must fight impunity.
That would be the demolition of structures illegally erected on grabbed public land, and in which endeavor President Kenyatta says there will be no sacred cows.
The time has come for us to fight impunity. A time has come for every Kenyan to realize, no matter how powerful you think you are, no matter how much you think you know people in high position, no matter how much money you have, that will not save you. That will not save you.
It certainly has not saved former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, National Lands Commission Chairman Mohamed Swezuri, or the Kenya Railways MD Atanas Maina, who just this week, together with others, found themselves on the wrong side of the lawman on various graft charges. President Kenyatta's assertion that he will not stand in the way of the long arm of the law resonates with that of opposition leader Raila Odinga, who has credited the famous handshake for the reclamation of grabbed public land. Raila's statement reads, and I quote, "Thanks to the bipartisan support, public lands whose recovery started then stalled under the NARC regime in 2003 has kicked off, with the grabbers denied the ethnic and political party sanctuaries they usually hide in. The political atmosphere has enabled us to look at our problems minus the usual ethnic lenses." He goes on to turn the heat on the Assets Recovery Agency, stating, "The Assets Recovery Agency must move out of the boardrooms and be seen to be acting publicly in unison with the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations." Raila has also called on the international community to complement this effort by facilitating the repatriation of funds stolen from Kenya. This is also the time for international partners who have long lamented about the culture of corruption and impunity in Kenya to play ball, open up their institutions and help trace Kenya's assets and monies hidden in their countries, his statement continues to read. While describing a tainted parliament as the weakest link in the war on graft, Odinga has also made the case for the opening of a whistleblower line which members of the public can use to bring to the attention of the authorities public officials living beyond their means. Speaking at Reverend Musa Gitau Church in Gikambura, Kiambu County, Deputy President William Ruto reinforced the "there are no untouchables" message.
Hakuna mrefu, hakuna mfupi. Hakuna mweupe, hakuna mweusi. Hakuna ambaye anajulikana, ambaye hajulikani. Sisi wote chini ya sheria ni kiwango kimoja.
Olive Barros, NTV.
So as all that is happening, former Nairobi County Government Chief Finance Officer Jimmy Mutuku Kiamba is being detained at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission cells.
His lawyer exclusively told NTV that the flamboyant former City Hall officer who was charged together with former Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero surrendered himself at the EACC headquarters at Integrity Center after a warrant of arrest was issued against him.
Well, NTV's Seth Olale also reports that the National Lands Commission chairperson Mohamed Swazuri and 6 other senior officials each face a minimum of 6 charges relating to economic crimes when they appear in court tomorrow morning.
A host of lawyers led by senior counsel Fred Ojambo were on Sunday busy piecing together testimonials from their clients at EACC headquarters in Nairobi just hours before the suspects are presented in court to face graft charges. National Lands Commission Chairman Mohamed Swazuri, NLC's Chief Executive Officer Tom Chavangi Aziz, and Kenya Railways Corporation Managing Director Atanas Maina remained at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission cells at Integrity Center. The rest of the suspects, including NLC's Valuation Director Salome Munubi, Finance Director Francis Mugo, Ministry of Lands Principal Registration Officer Gladys Muyanga, Registrar of Titles Caroline Kitui, as well as a private surveyor Obadia Wanaina, were locked up at the Kilimani police station. According to one of the defense lawyers who spoke to NTV in confidence, each of the suspects faces a minimum of 6 charges relating to corruption and economic crimes, including conspiracy to defraud the government, conspiracy to confer benefits from the government, and abuse of office, among others.
We are talking about hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions. Of course, you will see what will table before the courts, but they are in hundreds of millions.
Still at the EACC, former Nairobi County Chief Finance Officer Jimmy Mutuku Kiamba, who was charged last week alongside Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero, turned himself in at the EACC headquarters. Kiamba, who was escorted by his lawyer Cliff Ombeta, will remain in custody until tomorrow. Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti ordered that Kiamba present himself together with others at the Integrity Center by noon on Friday, but he failed to do so, triggering a warrant of arrest to be issued against him.
Our client just knew from the media that he was required to be in court and that his name was in the part of the names that were in the charge sheet. Nobody had summoned him. He had written a statement in relation to this matter. He had been interviewed before, but nobody had summoned him that he was required. And you can see the manner of the model which has been used to arrest these people. People have just been arrested haphazardly.
Former Nairobi County Secretary Lilian Degwa, former Chief Executive Officer in charge of Finance and Planning Gregory Mwakanongo, former Head of Accounting Stephen Ogago Osiro, Luke Mugo, who is a former Acting Chief Finance Officer, were also ordered by the Anti-Corruption Court to appear before EACC by Friday noon.
What the government fails to see is that apart from saying that somebody has benefited somebody else, corruption also means that you are benefiting one way or the other. So they must be able to show either the remoteness in connection of that offense or showing that our client has actually benefited in one way or the other.
The suspects were accused of conspiring to commit fraud, which led to the loss of 213 million shillings at City Hall between 2014 and 2015. Seth Olale, NTV.
All right, and away from corruption issues now and into some sad news. 5 people died in 2 separate incidents in Kuresoi in Nakuru County as their houses caught fire.
Well, in one of the incidents at Mitkei Trading Center in Kuresoi South, still in Nakuru County, 2 men perished when the house, which also doubles up as a shop that they were sleeping in, caught fire. The victims were reportedly burnt beyond recognition.
An incident that has shocked many, claiming the lives of Bernard Kilel and his friend. The administrator said the building belonged to a former Nakuru County Deputy Governor who also runs a posho mill in the area. Neighboring businesses were also torched down, and the residents said their efforts to salvage their commodities were in vain. In another incident, 3 children were burnt to death at Olposimoru Trading Center at the border of Nakuru and Narok North in a Saturday night fire. The 3 children aged 2, 6 and 10 years had been locked in the house by their mother, who had allegedly gone out to have a good time.
Hatukuwa tumetarajia eti watoto wako ndani. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya wakati tumesima nyumba tulimpata Watoto watatu wote wameungua kwa nyumba.
The fire reportedly started around 10 p.m. Area Chief Jonathan Sedera said the bodies were taken to Molo Sub-County Mortuary and urged the residents to avoid leaving their children unattended. Helen Aura, NTV.
And from Kuresoi, we're taking a short break in NTV Weekend Edition. We'll be back with a lot more in just a bit.
Weekend Edition with Trevor Ombija and Zeynab Ismail.
All right, welcome back to the program. Now, for most people, urban life is challenging to navigate. It is viewed as full of opportunities to thrive and succeed, with many youth migrating from rural to urban areas in search of employment.
Well, life in urban centers, more so Nairobi, can be demanding and fast-paced, especially for the elderly. However, there is a growing group of senior citizens who, unlike years gone by, have not retreated to the safety and relatively slow pace of their rural homes.
They have no one to look after them in their sunset years. NTV's Charity Mwangi visited some of the elderly residing in Nairobi's informal settlements and brings us the story of a forgotten community.
Elizabeth Njoroge lives an obscured life, fated to the fringes of a fast urban life. Her productive years are well behind her, and she finds it hard to keep up, but she has few options.
Sasa kama ningeolewa ningeenda kwa bwana. Kwa hiyo unaenda kuibana nini? Na kuna vijana. Na vijana wameoa, utaenda kuitisha kasaba ya baba yako. Ujue mama, hata kama utapewa, hiyo ni madharau tu. Utakuwa unatumiwa kama karatasi.
A life of solitude is her reality. she is unable to meet her own daily needs. Her wrinkled, frail body, evidence of years of toil. But her youthful struggle is a distant memory, as she says she has nothing to show for it. What of her kin, her children? How is it that she has no one to take care of her?
Ukipata moja kwa kijana kama huyu kama ule utampata wapi? Utaenda kumsumbua na atakwambia ako na bibi na ako na watoto. Wewe jiangalie peke yako. Anakuambia siku kutuma unisae. Wewe
singekuwa na shida, hata hapa ingekuwa na jenga.
For Mary Kifoi, her close to 90 years of life have been characterized by abuse from a husband she thought loved her and sorrow as the ripple effect of their separation. Poverty and misfortune have claimed all her 3 children, leaving her all alone in a world that she struggles to fit in. Her age notwithstanding.
Nilisaliwa Limuru, Deia. Kutoka Deia, mama yangu akakuja Nairobi. Kukuja Nairobi, siku hiyo mimi ni musi sana. Nilikuwa na miaka 30. Nikarudi shule, nikasoma standard 1, nikaolewa. Sasa kuolewa, nilitoka huko na watoto 3. Karudi kwa mama yangu. Sasa bwana yangu kaoa mwingine, mimi nikateseka, kwetu ni baya sana, kuna kauka. Mama yangu ni yeye mwenye hii buroti, akarudi kuaga. Mimi nikakuja wapi? Hapa na watoto yangu. Sasa mimi nakuwa mzee nikiwa wapi? Hapa.
Her age contributes to her tough life, but more so her ailing body that nearly stops her from engaging in any money-generating venture.
Pesa nilikuwa na mingi, nilikuwa na 10. Kila pahali nikienda nikipigwa, sina ugonjwa, naambiwa damu ni mzuri. Sasa nikarudi nikafujika miguu, lakini mimi natembeaga tu na miti. Mimi hakuna kitu nafanyaga. Sivyo tu ikanyumba hii na mimi nalipisa 1,200. Sasa hiyo pesa nikipatiwa nafanya shopping ya sakura.
The high cost of utilities in the city has led her to settle for a simple life, one that denies her of fresh drinking water. Anything that costs money is a luxury she simply can't afford.
Manataka shilingi 29,000. Ninaambia hawa makuja makate, heri tu nikunye hii ya chumvi, nikipata shilingi 2, mtoto anaenda na katungi ndogo, naenda kusotea mimi.
Kefoi's greatest challenge is food for her and her grandchild, and also school fees for the 10-year-old.
Sana sana mimi ni kukunywa maji moto na kaa mpaka jioni. Akikuja kukiwa unga, tunapiga, kukiwa kamchere na napiga. Sana sana mimi mjana sikuli. Na si kukataa. Naona hii nikikula, na sijui kama Mungu atasaidia mwingine anipee. Saa ingine niko na ile shopping nilifanya kidogo. Si mtoto ataweza akae. Saa ingine asindo ni kusoma kwa ajili ya njaa.
The cash transfer program that caters for the elderly is very little and quite inconsistent, that they have learned to live without expecting any government aid coming to them.
Napatiwa 4,000 muda wa miezi 2. 4,000 Sasa hiyo nagawa, na kama hiyo mtoto ana hii nanunulia, kama ni mimi na sakura tunakula, ile ingine shule. Sasa saa hiyo simi nagawa inaisha, tena nakaa miezi 2. Kama hii sijui tunapatiwa siku gani.
We again realize that it is competing with other government priorities in terms of release of the exchequer. But as I am saying, we are currently paying the May, June, and according to our operations manual, we are not late because the May, June is supposed to happen in July. So if we are already doing it now, it's not really that delay as we would want to believe.
What about the free medical insurance scheme launched by the government targeting the aged?
Naendaga hapa kwa Rusi, naandiko kwa Rusi, na ikienda kwa Rusi mpaka nikawasa. Unaenda kweli manakupima na bio hata pesa unapigwa. Unasema tu na hii dawa hakuna hata, na bio wende ununue. Una nduru ya kuenda kununua. Na ukienda kuuliza pahali na uswa inakula kama 1000 au zaidi. Sasa mimi nikasema hata hiyo ni kazi bure.
That is purely channeled through the Ministry of Health, the National Hospital Insurance Fund, and it is only them who can tell us now that they have the data, why haven't they been able to cover this? Because I expect there is a product they call super cover. I would expect that super cover, it should be able to cover everything, not just consultation and then you are left to go and buy medicine. But the understanding is they will be able to provide a comprehensive cover for all the beneficiaries whom we have given them as members of the Inua Jamii.
Kefoi has to stay strong, if only for her grandchildren, because her other relatives rely on farming, a venture that leaves them unable to spare her a dime.
Watoto yangu walikufa 3. Na hii naye ikakufa mmoja. Sasa nikabakia na watoto ya hiyo musisana.
But for Mary Wanjiru, hers is a more desperate situation as she doesn't have a close relative. Her parents died, leaving her in the care of her elder brother, whose death spelled doom for her. Her timely marriage gave her great promise, all that resulted to naught.
Mimi nikienda kwa doa nilikuwa na miaka 20. Nikaendelea na bwana, kaishi miaka 4. Hakuna mtoto, nikaenda hospitali, kaniangalia wakaona mimi si mgonjwa, sina nini, lakini haionekani yani mayaya mtoto ya kike. Sasa hivyo ndio bwana akakata roho, akasema hawezi kukaa na mtu hapati watoto. Sasa mimi nikatoka siku hiyo kasema wacha tu nikae tu vile Mungu aliniumba. Najaribu wapi, najaribu nini. Baka sasa nikamaliza ile haja ile yetu ya unaijua ile ya kawaida. Nikasema basi mimi nimeshakuwa mzee. Hakuna kitu kingine naongoja sasa. Nikukaa tu na Mwenyezi Mungu, mwenye kuniumba. Kwa maana mimi siwezi nikachukua kamba nisinyonge, siwezi nikakunywa dawa ndio nikupwe. Siwezi, kile Mungu aliniumbia nikikaa hivyo, wacha niongoje. Iko na familia. Lakini sasa siwezi nikajua wanaishi pande gani, ama walienda wapi. Kwa maana kutoka huko nilitoka kitabu. Vile nilisikia nasema vile aliniambia, hiyo roho ikato, nikasema haya.
Despite her age, she remains youthful. A situation that adds to her predicament. She has failed to convince government officials that she is elderly and deserving of government aid.
Mimi sijawahi kupata pesa ya uzee. Na nilijaribu zaidi sana nipate. Nikajaribu wakasema miaka yangu haingiani. Nikihesabu miaka yangu ninaona ni mingi, lakini kwa kipande waliniandikia 62. Na walikuwa wanakataa, wanasema mimi sipikisi hiyo miaka. Wananiuliza mimi nakulanga nini ndio ati mimi naonekana tu ningali bado kupikisa hiyo miaka. Nikawaambia mimi ni mzee.
If it confirms that the ID says you were born in 1962, then our hands are tied and you have to address it with the National Registration Bureau for them to be able to change your date of birth, so that then, because that is the first document that we use to confirm that indeed, one, you are a Kenyan, two, that is the year which you were born. So if your document says you were born in 1962, I cannot look at your face and tell you, yes, from the look of your face, you were born in much earlier than what is in the, that's the official document.
Though she has known pain in her life, nothing compares to the pain she feels in her body every day, having injured her leg after dislocating her hip while walking around the slum.
Siwezi kulala, nalala tu kama naketi chini. Na mimi ni peke yangu. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa uchungu nyingi zaidi sana kwa mwili yangu. Kabisa. Hiyo nje siwezi nikatoka. Mam, kutoka kitanda yangu ilikuwa inaosa. Kwa maana mimi namwaga tu huko. Siwezi kujitoa hapo kwa kitanda.
Even though her body is frail, she commands the respect of the youth in the slum.
Wanasemanga chuchu hana mane. Watoto wa kijiji yote wenye waharibu, wenye nini, wananijua, wanasemanga hata mkienda huko kwa chuchu mnakwenda kuchukua nini? Hakuna chochote mnaenda kuchukua ni nini? Na huyu chuchu hana maneno. Hata wanashikanga watu hapa. Kuja hapa. Oi, mokolo. Nawaita tu nawaambia watoto msiue, mkiua kesho mtabuchika nini tena? Peani ile kitu mnapewa alafu muache mtu aende, hiyo maneno naisha.
For Stephen Gavengi, life is what you make of it. Though he suffered an injury to his leg like most of his elderly counterparts, he engages in his business repairing shoes for the residents of Soweto.
Karibuni.
His pride and joy is his humble home that he shares with his wife. But unlike Gavengi, some of the elderly people have resigned themselves to a life of drunkenness as their frustration gets the better of them.
Mimi nikikasirika hata mimi uvutaga hii. Ndio mafikirio iwache kunifikia sana. Mimi navutaga saa ingine simletee problem kwa akili.
And for good reasons, their frustrations directed at a government that, according to them, cares very little for the elderly.
I was speaking to her, telling him, na wale wanapatia kwa pesa wanakula wenyewe. Kama mimi tunakaanga tunagoja. Imagine unakaa tu wewe unaambia uende uandikishe pale au Equity. Na wewe mwenyewe hujapata hiyo kitu. Kuna wale wanachukua hata hii chakula inaletwa pale sosi huru. Sisi hatupatagi. Inakuliwa na wengine waweka kwa magunia wanakuja kuuza kwa maduka. Kama ni michele ikikuja pale upati. Tangana kupaga laini na upati.
Mary Nyokabi, who is also facing a lonely, desperate life in her sunset years, has some advice for young women.
Come we stay. Oh, nimekupenda sana, twende tukawane. Hiyo ni kutupa direction. Unaweza kuolewa na mtu akuleti down at the last moment. Why? Because hamjachunguzana. Kama mimi ningechunguza kwanza, ningefanya nini? Leo ningekuwa na mwelekeo. Sahi ni nini niko naye mimi.
Nyokabi could have been faring much better than her counterparts, but her husband with a gambling problem sent her fortunes, including a house, down the drain, stripping her of her dignity in old age. And so she settles for the slum life, and though her neighbors hold her in high esteem, she says that her life is not the one she had envisioned for her and her children. She, however, has hope for a different life as she engages in part-time acting roles, a welcomed escape from her everyday life challenges. And so do the other elderly folks here, albeit with some bitterness, because it is difficult to accept the reality that their dreams might never come true. NTV sought to understand other options for these elderly people.
Several homes that have gone, they do not admit older people without charging. And these charges, sometimes they are very expensive and they vary as to the home. One I know, they are charging 30,000. There are those who are charging 30,000 for admission. There are those charging even 150. I know. But I wonder if those cannot manage that amount of money, what happens to them? Issues of when they charge this money, do they give the quality service that these older people also require?
While the options he speaks of are available, it does not in any way mean that they are acceptable to them. The pieces of land that they occupy are very valuable, and to vacate to a group home means that they give up this valuable resource.
The situation is the same in every homestead that we visited. The elderly residents say that they are putting one foot in front of the other, all the while trusting in the Almighty for their everyday existence. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
Well, brilliant reporting there by Charity Mwangi, revealing very touching details. And there's a lot of feedback coming through our social media handle at NTV Kenya. The hashtag they're using is Old in the City. Zeynab, you have some of them?
Definitely, Trevor. We're just going to sample some of those feedback that you're getting from you. The hashtag Old in the City. Julius Karanja saying the Old in the City story is really a real story. The story brings me to the question, how can we as Kenyans be a blessing to the old? Can the working young generation adopt an elderly mom or dad, even if it means paying rent? We also have here just Fadhili Kanini. Fadhili Kanini saying the Old in the City feature on NTV is heartbreaking truly. It goes to confirm just how critical the Inua Jamii program is to vulnerable senior citizens in the country. We here have Sandro Tangut saying, where's the cash transfer to the elderly? What needs to be done to assist these women and men? We as a society need to stand up. And we also have here Sandro Tangut as well saying it was once said that the moral test of government is how it treats those who are in the dawn of life, the children, those who are in the twilight of life, the elderly, and those who are in the shadows of life, the sick, the needy, and the handicapped. And lastly but not least, we do have here Karanja David saying the fact that you have a wife and kids is no justification of neglecting your parents in the old age. Remember, you can send us your feedback. Our Twitter handle is at NTV Kenya, the hashtag Old in the City. And Trevor, you know what they say, old is gold, so we should be able to take care of our old people in their prime time.
It's interesting that you bring that up, Zeynab, because we absolutely need to take care of them even better. I like what Julius Karanja said. We have to go to the extent of even adopting people there who are old and try to give them a comfortable life towards their sunset days as we wait for our grey hair ourselves. Listen, we're taking a short break in NTV Weekend Edition. When we come back, we're talking about youth matters. Stay with us. 4 agenda.
The president was speaking during celebrations to mark International Youth Day in Kisii County. NTV's Sharon Baranga with the story.
President Uhuru Kenyatta led those gathered in Kisii in marking the International Youth Day.
Haja yetu ni tuhakikishe ya kwamba vijana wetu wameweza kupata kazi ambayo itawasaidia, sio kupigana kwa mikutano ya siasa na kuvunjwa miguu na mikono na wacheni siasa zenu. Yetu ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba tumeboresha maisha na kutakuwa na nafasi kubwa tukiwa tumeweka amani na umoja katika taifa letu.
The government hopes to create 800,000 jobs for young people by the year 2022 through the implementation of the Big Four agenda.
Yetu ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba tumeboresha maisha na kutakuwa na nafasi kubwa tukiwa tumeweka amani na umoja katika taifa letu.
Young people were tasked to be at the forefront in the fight against corruption.
Muwe mstari wa mbele. Mkiona hata kama ni baba yako, wewe sitaki yeye, useme sisi hatutaki mambo ya ufisadi katika dunia yetu. Hata kama ni polisi na muone, mshike mpeleke polisi. Hata kama ni MCA, mshike mpeleke kwa polisi. Hata kama ni MP, mnaona anatumia pesa ya CDF vibaya na mnaona anatumia, shika peleka kwa polisi. How ni namna gani jamani? The power is in your hands to end this vice in our country.
President Uhuru says his administration is focused on improving the welfare of the youth, and as such, funds have been set aside in form of educational loans to technical institutions.
Register skills.
In addition, about 70 technical institutions expected to absorb more than 350,000 youth are being established across the country. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Now, as the world marks World Youth Day, majority of youth are still not making use of the financial channels set out by the government to help boost them in the nation.
However, some are also yet to see the fulfillment of the promises the Jubilee government laid out with regards to the youth and employment.
NTV's Ellen Aura sat with a group of youth to further discuss some of the issues that affect them.
Unemployment is one of the major challenges that youth in Kenya face. And today, as we celebrate World Youth Day, I'm joined by an amazing panel of youth. So, Peter, being a 24-year-old Uber driver, well, you've studied agriculture and biotech. Please tell us more. How did you get into being an Uber driver?
Okay, I had a passion of doing business.
Yeah.
And then immediately after school, before the period after school and before graduating, that's when I went and tried to get into the business, and eventually I got in, and I started driving even before I graduated.
There was no pressure from your parents about now that you've graduated, you need to go to school, and I mean, you need to go and look for a job in line with what you've studied?
Not really,
yeah.
Because in fact now the business is family owned, and I was like the one running it, and they were impressed because we were getting money.
My name is Stella, and a student at Egerton University. Yeah.
So what are you studying?
Wildlife, Enterprise and Management.
Well, wow, amazing. So is that what you've always wanted to do?
I actually wanted to do political science, but then my mom was for the idea that she doesn't want politicians at her home. So she said that if I opted to do wildlife management, then she will secure me a job after school. So yeah, so that is why I am doing the course I'm doing right now.
And can we actually say that's one of the major challenges that youth are also facing in terms of what you study in school is not what you go out to practice at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. You can say that is a challenge because I don't see myself being a wildlife manager at the end of the day.
We have Esther. You're a third-year student at the university as well. Besides being in school, what else do you do? Maybe how do you make money outside school?
I'm a model, part-time model. Like, I have a business. Yeah, but I want to specialize more in it so that it can become a line. Like, I do sell clothes.
I'm quite involved in different type of industries, creative design,
and I still do advocacy on adolescent health. And also events.
When the Jubilee government got in power, they said they were going to create 1.3 million jobs for youth in Kenya. And one of the platforms was through the Ajira platform. So maybe have you heard of the Ajira platform?
Yeah, I've heard, but haven't tried.
You haven't tried it?
Yeah, no.
Why?
Maybe because of the past experiences.
Maybe touch on that a bit.
This year actually, before June, I applied for my brother for the Kenya Youth Employment, and we registered, we got the reference number, but up to date we've never had a phone call, a text, nothing. So just like, we assume it's just like any other, it just go like that.
Okay. I know they exist. I know the existence of the Youth Fund and the existence of the Uwezo Fund.
Yes.
Just to mention a few.
Okay. Yeah. And has any of you tried also applying for the Youth Fund? And I know, Esther, you said you're doing business with your friends as well in school. Have you tried applying for the Youth Fund to see whether it could help you further your business?
I haven't applied.
Why?
Because I think because of the experiences of my friends who have applied, they haven't been able to go through to get the loans and the tenders. So it's, I take it more my responsibility to make my dream come true than to depend on the government.
Do you think maybe when it comes to our generation, one of our setbacks is we rely so much on hearsay? In case it didn't work out for them, it didn't work out for this other person, I'm not going to try. Do you think that's what we do with our generation?
I think with our generation there's a problem, and the problem is information, because we have governments having very good projects, they have very good initiatives, very good insight on investments, but the publicity is not quite open to the young persons to access it.
To add on what he's saying, I think it's a high time the government realizes that we are in different generations from the people who are leading us and the youth now who are us. Because how many youths will you find reading the print media? Very few. We are focused on social media, and now you find some of these advertisements are made through the print media, and so they don't get to the targeted audience.
Apart from the advertisement of these opportunities, we also have a challenge when the requirements are very high. For example, the Youth Fund, they expect you to have a group of 10. Assuming you have an idea, let's say for example, Sandy and I come up with an idea. They want us to have 10 people in the group. That means that we have to add 8 more. And if we add 8 more, this is just going to be people to push us. They don't even have the ideas themselves. We don't even have the same interest, but we need them for us to get the loan. And at the end of the day, you apply for a certain amount, and then you are given a way much lower amount.
The Deputy President stated that they're releasing 200 billion when it comes to tenders for youth and women. And because the government incorporated us, women and youth, that we can get 30% off the tenders. We have that privilege. Has any of you maybe tried to procure something through the government?
I've benefited from them, and I'm quite conversant with everything that is running in the tender business. So in the organization I do apply the tender for in government, like it's so like not a lot of young people are trying to access these opportunities, because the problem is going way back down. When we come back to the financial skills, a lot of people are not taught on this management and how to present yourselves when you want to get the tenders.
Give us your parting shot.
And everyone wants a white-collar job now. No one focuses on telling these youths to focus on the blue-collar jobs, get skills, go to the job market, analyze the job market, get to know what is required, what opportunities are out there. Then go to the polytechnics, work on that, furnish on your skills, and then go to the job market, get a job instantly, or employ yourself, be self-employed.
The government is talking about the Big Four agenda. We have the manufacturing. People are not being taught the skills that they need to enter into the manufacturing industry, just being given the theoretical part of the skills, not the practical part.
A message to the youth out there, like, let us not just sit around, lazing around, waiting for the government to implement some of these things. Some of us, sometimes you have to go get what you want.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Amazing voices and opinions from the youth that we have there from this amazing panel. And this is also just a challenge also to the government, as the youth is saying there need to be more awareness to the youth and more opportunities to give the youth employment opportunities, and creative spaces. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Ellen Aura, for that very inciting conversation. They'll be taking a very short break here on NTV Weekend Edition. When we come back, we'll take a look at matters politics.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk about a bit of politics now. In Mount Kenya, political leaders have said that they will not be intimidated into withdrawing their support for Deputy President William Ruto in his quest for the presidency in 2022.
The leaders say they will increase their campaigns for Ruto as they endeavor to deliver the votes as a bloc in an effort to repay him for his support to President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013 and 2017. NTV Political Affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi with the details.
MPs from the vote-rich Mount Kenya region say they will preach the William Ruto gospel on every available forum. Some, however, claim they are facing intimidation from a section of the region's leaders who are not happy with DP Ruto's forays into the region.
Mimi nimetishiwa hata kimaisha kuambiwa nisionekane na huyu Ruto tena. Maisha yangu ni kitu kidogo sana nikionekana na huyu Ruto tena. Na nimewaambia, and I want to tell them right from my village, I fear no man. Uoga wangu tu ni wa Mwenyezi Mungu.
Kuna watu unachokora wewe kidogo. We are praying to God to give you peace of mind. Endelea kushikilia Uhuru Kenyatta. Endelea kusaidia Uhuru Kenyatta kwa Big 4 ndio awache legacy ya kutosha. Mambo ingine utuachie sisi tuna urafiki ya ukweli.
The DP has in the recent past made a number of trips to counties in Mount Kenya region in his self-styled development tours, which he says are about supervising government projects. There has also been talk of seeking a deputy from the region.
In the last 3 weeks, you have shown us a lot of friendship. Last week ulikuwa Murang'a, ukatoka hapo ukaenda Meru, ukaenda Kirinyaga, ukakuja kwangu Nyeri. Today you are here.
The leaders who spoke at a Thanksgiving service for Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah at PCEA Musagetao in Thogoto pledged to continue their support for DP Ruto, insisting they will go against the anti-Ruto brigade and engage the electorate directly. The leaders, mostly from the Kalenjin and Mount Kenya communities, say it is now their duty to go past the threats and deliver the presidency for Ruto in 2022.
Huko Mount Kenya East tumekupangia usiku na mchana, hall ziko tayari kuja ongea na sisi, because I cannot speak for Central Province. Mimi hapa ni mgeni, lakini kama Mkenya nasema endelea hivyo hivyo and we will support you as governors, and even as Mount Kenya East and Central and the rest of the Kenya will support you to reach where you want to reach.
DP Ruto steered off the topic opting to ask leaders to join the transformative agenda being driven by himself and President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Sisi wote tumemaliza kazi ya uchaguzi, vyeo, vyama, viongozi. Sasa nafasi tulio nayo ni ya wananchi na maendeleo.
The leaders present, largely from counties that make up the central Kenya vote, have vowed to move out in the different places they come from to galvanize support for Deputy President William Ruto in his quest to be president in 2022. Kennedy Mreithi, NTV in Kikuyu constituency.
Now, Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu and his deputy James Nyoro have once again clashed in public over their roles.
Nyoro started by calling out Governor Waititu, whom he accused of not giving him space to perform his duties with frequent interference, while Governor Waititu accused his deputy of not being patient enough to be led.
And what I'm going through today is kwa sababu I believed in working together. But let me say one thing. I also believe in doing things right. And where there is a compromise, and where there is a difference between working together and doing things right, I will choose to do things right.
Mimi nilikuwa deputy wa mtu alikuwa mayor, alikuwa anaitwa Wadhika. Pia nilikuwa assistant minister wa Madam Charity Giro. Na mimi najua kuwa deputy ni kusema nini. Lazima kwanza ukubali kuwa deputy. Ndio sasa ukalie hiyo kiti vizuri bila wasiwasi. Hiyo, that is the most important thing as a deputy. Vile wewe uko deputy president, sasa lazima kwanza ukubali kuwa deputy president, ndio sasa uendeshe hiyo kazi vizuri.
If that means not working together, that's fine. Nataka muniombe. I'm going through a lot of problems. Na ni mimi nijiletea.
Juzi nimeenda Ulaya for a whole 3 weeks. Mbele ya hiyo nilienda pia Thailand kama chairman. Mimi ndio chairman wa planning na urban development. Nilienda kwa kama chairman, tukaenda na magavana wengine, hata Mudhomi Joki alikuwa pale. Mimi sijaenda na county, hakuna kifunguo nilienda naye. Mimi nilitarajia wale niliwacha ambayo wamekuwa akinipiga watafanya kazi mzuri sana ionekane. Ndio watu wajue kama Waititu wange kuweko kazi hapa ingefanyika mzuri sana. Lakini kuliko watu wafanye kazi yao ilikuwa kunipigia nduru na niko Ulaya na kazi iko hapa.
Mjue tutafanya kazi na nyinyi, hakuna mahali nitaenda. Kama vile engineer Kiragu alisema, ukipewa title ya economist haiondoki ukitoka kwa siasa. I'm a food security expert and I'm saying this today, 12th of August 2018, I'll make Kiambu food secure. I'll make Mount Kenya food secure. Thank you. God bless you.
All right, and from Kiambu, we take a short break. In NTV Weekend Edition, Brian Otwal will be here with the latest in the sporting world.
NTV Sport in association with Imperial Leather.
Welcome to NTV Sport. My name is Brian Otwal. Today, August the 12th, is the United Nations International Youth Day, and the theme of the day is Safe Spaces for Youth. Sports is seen as one of the ways youth can come together and freely express themselves. And we start NTV Sport in Kisii County, where President Uhuru Kenyatta officiated the International Youth Day. President Kenyatta took to the pitch and scored a penalty, with Kisii Governor James Ongwae in goal. Kisii County will also be the venue for the 6th Kenya Inter-County Sports and Cultural Association, the games that kick off tomorrow. And Congolese striker Yemi Mwana was the toast for visiting Bandari, while Ezekiel Odera was the man for AFC Leopards, as both sides secured wins in the Kenyan Premier League Sunday action. Mwana scored the all-important goal as Bandari beat Tusker 1-0 at the Ruaraka grounds to consolidate second place with 48 points from 27 games and also take the unbeaten run in the KPL to 10 games. This as Odera scored twice to help Ingwe beat Nakumatt 4-2 and lie third on the log with 45 points from 26 matches. In other results, Sunday, Mathare United edged Kariobangi Sharks 2-1. Wazito FC beat fellow relegation battlers Thika United 3-1, while Sony Sugar pipped Ulinzi Stars 1-0. League leaders Gor Mahia will be in action on Monday when they play Kakamega Homeboys in Kisumu.
Kumaza nafasi ya pili ama ya tatu. So nadhani itakuwa ni motisha, na pia tuna mechi kama 7 zimesalia. Nadhani hizi point 3 kwa mchezo wa leo imetupa ile edge ya kumaza katika nafasi nzuri katika ligi kuu ya Kenya.
My players spoke for myself inside the pitch. They, as I told you, we have a commitment with the supporters. We have an offensive football. Everybody knows my coaching philosophy, and my players respond to my coaching.
The new EPL season, same imperious Manchester City and new manager, same old Arsenal. At least from the both teams' first game, City got their Premier League title defense off to a winning start with a deserved 2-0 victory. Kicked off today with Kisumu County with an opening ceremony and the first round of the matches. This year's continental competition has attracted players from 13 countries, with East Africa being represented by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. The boys under 18 category has strong players from Egypt, Cameroon, Zambia, Namibia, Somalia and Uganda. Among the players to watch out for are Egyptian international Master Kandil Adan and Algerian world-fied Master Nasser Rania. The tournament will be played in a 9-round Swiss system with the time control of 90 minutes plus 30 seconds.
Delighted with great joy that we have so many participants that have made it to this event, because when we were starting off, we were not so sure if we will get the big numbers that we have received.
Spanish rider Jorge Lorenzo defeated Honda's reigning MotoGP world champion Marc Marquez in a thrilling Austrian Grand Prix to drag himself back into the title race with his third victory of the season. Lorenzo finished the race at the Red Bull Ring in 39 minutes, 40.688 seconds.
many thanks for being part of this bulletin. My name is Zeynab Ismail.
And you did absolutely fantastic, and you look
Really
lovely as well.
Thank you so
We
much.
hope to
I
see
appreciate
more
it.
of you on air. I'm sure they agree.
Definitely.
My name is Trevor Ombija. It was a pleasure having you with us, and that does it for Into Weekend Edition. Special thanks to David Agondoa for the sign language interpretation. See you again tomorrow. We'll be with Zeynab as well.
Definitely. Good night.